big boss that's special. It ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level. Second level.
What's up, world, and welcome back to Codename Morpheus Episode 8, or Infinity if you turn it on its side.
Or if you'd flip it upside down, it's still 8.
Yeah, that's true.
Either way.
Hey, what did the 0 say to the 8? Nice belt. Anyway, so...
I'm not even going to give you a response with that one.
Moving on with the show. Welcome back to the basement here, and we're here to give you the world of the virtual as we dig into the week's news for VR and PSVR specifically. So welcome back. We've had a lot of... sort of good back and forth with comments and stuff lately with this show. We love you guys. We appreciate you. We see you all watching the VR gameplay stuff we put up, and we just wanted to say thank you. Moving on with the show, though, this week we have some newbie stuff coming out, and the first one I'm going to talk about is actually a pre-order. It's not a fully fledged, you can buy it right yet, but I thought it was exciting enough to bring it up because it is a pre-order for a very anticipated game.
It was enough to make it on the E3 stage.
It was, and that game, of course, is from Supermassive, and it is called The Inpatient. So the Inpatient pre-order is now live. $30 is what the final price tag is on that, which I think is... I was talking to you a little about this earlier. I'm half nervous about it, half not, because Until Dawn was a full price game, and it was...
Well, it was full price being 40. It was $40.
When it first came out, you sure?
It was $40. It was not 60.
Fair enough. But it was like 8 or 9 hours, I would say, of gameplay, maybe more, depending on whether you took your time or not. And I'm a little concerned for the length of the Inpatient at $30, but I kind of feel like they're not going to let me down. And I think even if it is a short game, the experience will probably be worth it.
It'll be good. Even somebody who didn't like horror games, I loved the way Until Dawn was.
Yeah.
Just if it wasn't.
Would you play the Inpatient in VR?
No.
You wouldn't?
No. VR is already scary enough that like if you put me in a horror VR situation, I would be freaking terrified.
Kind of want to do it one day.
No.
November 21st is the official release date of the Inpatient, but if you want to get your pre-order in, whether you're excited about Until Dawn or whatever, then dig in. I will say we are all supposed to not be pre-ordering anything, if you remember, as a general gaming society.
Yeah, I have not pre-ordered anything this year other than I did last day of June, but I knew I was doing that because of the show.
I did Super Hot. And maybe...
We got a code for that afterwards, too.
Yeah. Anyway, what I thought I would add to our new release section this week is also a couple foreign things, because I don't normally do that, and I thought, well, we made that lovely...
You're like, I'm foreign. Let's do this.
That's true. But I made that lovely foreign tutorial, or foreign PSN count tutorial for you, and I thought, well, let's talk about it.
That Hong Kong one has got a lot of love. I don't know
Hong Kong's great.
I don't know why Hong Kong's
in English.
Yeah, Hong Kong is definitely the one that's got the most love.
Because you can buy like summer lessons and stuff, and it's in full English. So it's
summer lessons.
I'm still debating that, but it's like $70 to play that, and I'm just not. As much as I want to play it, I don't think I can pay $70 to be a creeper. So, so the first thing came out in Hong Kong.
You're like, I can do that for free.
If it's free, I'll creep all day.
I mean, you did that with what was the Dead or Alive game? I showed somebody who worked that game.
I paid for that.
Judd at work. I was like, "Do you have any interest in playing VR at any point?" And he's like, "Not really." He's like, "I feel like it's a creepy like thing." I was like, "Oh, I got the perfect video to show you." And the first thing I show him is you staring at this girl in a bikini. He's like, "Nope, I'm done." And then I showed him I showed him Super Hot, and he really likes Super Hot.
It's super weird.
Yes, it was weird to watch.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. Trust me, it was equally weird knowing people were watching what I was watching.
So you're like, I can't look at boobs. Don't look at boobs.
So the first up is from Hong Kong, and that's a game called, I want to say Zeta. It could be Zeta. It's Xeta.
Or maybe it's Xeta.
No, it's...
Or maybe it's Ja.
X estimated time of arrival.
Yes.
There you go.
What's your estimated time of arrival? It's X.
So that's a Hong Kong game. It looks like, I saw the trailer and they didn't really give a whole lot away. It looks kind of cool. It looks basically like a mech shooter or an on-rail shooter. Potentially it's a stay-in-place shooter, not positive. But it's cheap. It's 109 whatever they do in Hong Kong. I didn't know. Like, is it dollars? Is it Hong Kong dollars? Haulers?
Hey Siri, what is Hong Kong's currency?
Hong Kongers?
The Hong Kong dollar is the currency.
Hong Kong dollar!
There you go. Hong Kong dollar.
It's 109 Hong Kong dollars, which is actually not as much as you think it is.
Hey Siri, what is 109 Hong Kong dollars in US dollars?
Okay, let's do it.
109 Hong Kong dollars is $13.92.
40
Thank you.
$14. There you go. There you go. 14
Using
bucks.
Technology, because I was going to put it into Google.
Experience.
But a little fun fact, the reason I have the screen always here, they can't see it, is there's a timer so we can keep track of, so we don't go for 4 hours.
Well, We still do, but
We do.
The
We're bad
other
at
one is I included this mostly just because I like the name of it, and that is Vrog, which where you play a VR frog.
Maybe it's VROG. Maybe it's the
No,
original
it's,
VR.
It's Vrog. Trust me, it's English. If anyone can pronounce this properly, it's me. So VROG or Vrog or VR Frog, whatever the fuck you want to call it, is available, and this is in the European/UK store for £5.35. And basically, it looks kind of interesting. You're a Vrog on lily pads, and you're jumping away from like a bird that wants to eat you, and also like eating flies at the same time. I think it's been out for a couple weeks maybe, but I only noticed it today. So since I was doing this new section, I thought it would be worth.
Jesus, I
doing.
never realized how many currencies there were in the world.
Yeah, it's quite a few. It's not euros, it's pounds.
Yeah, I know.
So
That's what just popped up.
Great British pounds would be the if that's what you're
Is it
looking
actually
for,
under Great British pounds,
should
or is it
be.
under British pounds? Gibraltar. I'm gonna go Britain. I'm gonna go British pound. British pound.
Oh, there you go. So how much is that?
I went the wrong way though. I got to go British pound to U.S. dollar, not U.S. dollar.
I'm trying to do the math for you, so you to get these games that you pay for, I might make another
$6.85.
There you go, $7. I might make a tutorial on how to do it, but it's really simple. Basically,
the pound's lost its value.
You either go to
That's crazy.
Fucking tell me about it.
That's crazy.
You either go to GameFlip or to Play-Asia, and both of those places will give you the ability to purchase PSN cards from those countries.
But don't go to euthanasia. That means things are dying.
And then when you purchase those PSN cards, you can redeem them on your special account, your foreign account, and then they work. So you can buy whatever you want.
I don't know if you could do it. Amazon didn't allow it because I think. Did you try Amazon? Because I know if you go to Amazon.ca, it'll let you do Canadian dollars.
No, because you have to have an
shipping
address
address
for that country, but you don't have to do that for Play-Asia or for
That makes sense.
GameFlip.
It's good to know.
So there's a couple of foreign things to check out that are cost based, and then you have the official U.S. releases this week. We have The Lost Bear. That's $13, and that's going to be our spotlight for today because both me and Keegan have played it for once.
Shout out to Fabric Games is what I'm trying to say there. Fabric Games give us keys so we can
little
get into
tale,
it.
And
I'm sure we'll yell at each other about something at some point since we both played it.
And then the other release this week, I don't want to say big release, but at least it's been on a few people's radars. We mentioned it a couple weeks back, and that is Don't Knock Twice.
Only knock once.
Yes, or 3 times.
No, 3 times. You're playing with yourself.
So that is $20. Sorry, that is $16, down from $20. It's got that PS Plus sort of bonus that you get when you get something in the first week or two. So yeah, Don't Knock Twice. It's a horror game. I don't know much more about it than that, to be honest with you. The trailer, of course, is behind, so if you like the look of it, then check it out. But that is the other sort of bigger release for VR this week, alongside The Lost Bear. But then, with that sale on Don't Knock Twice, we can move into our sales section.
Can I interject here before you jump into the sales?
Please do.
Can we talk about what's finally not on sale anymore?
Marvels?
Marvels is no longer on sale. You missed your month and a half opportunity to get Marvels. It is full $20 again. Just want to point that out because I feel like every
thought it was
week,
a price drop for
every week we're like, and Marvels is this official? Nope, it's officially not official now.
Officially not official.
Anyways, what do we got this week, Tom?
Rigs is free temporarily.
PS
I can't give you much more information than that, other than if you're a PS Plus member, you can pick up Rigs. We don't.
September 5th through November 11th, I believe, is the date.
Is there an actual date?
It's through November. I had it pulled up on the blog.
It's a little bit longer than a month, right?
Yeah, it's not the normal PS Plus game.
Yeah.
Which, fun fact, when we were looking at the PS Plus games today, the
Vita ones cost something.
The Vita ones are. So I wonder if they're gonna replace VR or Vita with VR.
I don't know. It seems shitty. It seems like they could just add it.
Why? Because Vita's dead. I know you don't want to admit it, but the Vita is dead.
I never said that I didn't want to admit that.
Sony won't just add it. They'll replace it.
They're still making games for it.
But otherwise, they'll jack up the price of
They're still making games for it. I think it deserves to be in there as much as... I think Vita fans, if more than anyone, deserve a fucking couple free games once in a while because it's dead.
Yeah, but I'm going to put my business hat on. Business-wise... Sony doesn't care about the Vita anymore. I'm just going to say that. But I will double check to give you the date.
It has a really good following in Japan still. Don't forget that.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because it doesn't matter. It's just
a country.
It's just a country I don't care about.
Anyway,
that's a lie.
Rigs,
I care about Japan. I just don't understand you sometimes.
Temporarily. And if you haven't played Rigs, it is a lot of fun. It is the first game that will make you feel motion sickness if you've only been playing sat-down experiences or whatever so far.
Rigs is September 5th through November 7th, so I was off by 4 days.
Actual dates. September 5th through November 7th. But you play, basically it's like a future sport where you're in a mechanized rig, and you run around this kind of battlefield that has like verticality to it, and you dunk yourself.
Yeah.
Which is the weird part.
It was the first game I think you just mentioned it that made me go woozy. But
Yeah,
I kind of want to play it now that I've played VR again.
It's
for a
when
little
you
bit.
jump. The first time you jump,
You're
your
like,
stomach
"Whoa."
goes like vroom, and you're like, "Holy shit!" Because it is really well done. It's a shame that the developers have kind of
That studio's
abandoned
dead.
the project. The whole studio is dead.
Yeah.
So there's not going to be any kind of updates coming. So perfect time to pick it up for free, so that community can keep thriving. Because that is, sorry Spark, but Riggs was really the first
one.
sport, if you will.
Also, if I don't know why you'd be watching a VR only thing if you don't own VR, but if you don't own VR, pick it up. Because if you get a VR, I'm assuming if you're watching this, you're at least interested in VR. So if you do get a PSVR at some point, you'll have a free game. That's kind of why I get all the Vita and PS. Well, not Vita anymore, but I get the Vita and PS3 games because if I, for some reason, pick those up at some point, I
a nice
have the
digital
library.
back catalog. You're already paying for PS Plus, so why not?
Might as well.
The other thing that is free but also foreign is if you head on over to the Hong Kong or the Chinese PSN stores, you can pick up the Andres
Iniesta.
Thank you. VR experience.
Tom didn't know who he was, and I'm sad
I
because
don't
I'm a soccer
know
dude.
who he is, but he is apparently a football player, and this is a VR experience, much in the vein of like the virtual orchestra one that was available on the UK store.
I want to make sure I get his
those guys.
nationality right. I want to say he is Spanish, but he might be. Now that I think about it, might be like Argentine.
Andres Iniesta.
And might be South American.
It sounds
Spain. Yeah, I was right. He's
Spain.
Spanish. He plays for Barcelona.
So it doesn't mean he's Spanish because he plays for them.
No, but it says Spain right here. He was born in Spain.
So
it means he's Spanish.
All right. So that
plays for
experience is
Barcelona.
available. I don't know what it is. I did pick it up. I did not get time to play it before we recorded today, but I assume it's just you watching him do some tricks or something. I don't know. But it's free, so it doesn't really matter that it's in Chinese. If you just want to sit and watch a guy play really good football in VR. So pick it up, and I'm sure there probably will be a translation version of it at some point. Usually in the Hong Kong store, they have the English and the Chinese version, so hopefully that comes out. But that is a free experience that you can pick up for free if you have the PSN account for either Hong Kong or China, but it is Chinese language,
Iniesta.
so bear that in mind.
Which is weird. That like of all the places to release a football soccer-based game,
There's so many of those.
China's not the place I would think that would go well. I would think
that's
EU.
True.
That was or South America.
UK would
South
probably
America
be
would
a better
good.
place to put it, but they would want something like with
Something good.
an English guy in it.
They also want something good.
So let's move on to the news. The big bad part of our show is going to be based around some interesting factoids, and the first one is something that you shared with me this morning, which made me very excited, and that is that Resident Evil 7 Gold Edition.
It says good edition here in your notes.
Shut up.
The good edition of Resident Evil 7.
Trying to be professional. Ruined it right away. Gold Edition
You know I
drops
gotta poke it.
December 12th with 2 new DLC. So to make that more clear, it's going to be a version of Resident Evil 7 that already has banned footage Volume 1 and banned footage Volume 2, which are currently available, and not all of those DLCs are 100% VR playable. And then they're going to have 2 more. The one that they've promised us for a really long time, and then a brand new one. So Not a Hero DLC, which is the Chris Redfield based one, where you actually get to play Resident Evil 7 as Chris Redfield, which I think is going to be really exciting.
I don't know who that is.
I mean, he's one of the main. Him and Leon are like the 2 guys that
Cool.
are Resident Evil. And then the end of Zoe, which lets us know a little bit more about what happened to Zoe, who was kind of the only member of that family that didn't want to murder you during that.
And the article says they are both full VR.
Both full VR,
which is cool.
There's a couple pictures in it as well, which I
There's a
thought were
swamp-
really interesting.
swamp
Yeah,
thing
that looks
showing
like
up.
some sort of swampy thing looking guys, and the Chris Redfield footage looks great because it looks like you have a proper military HUD and everything. And yeah, it just looks really, really cool and a great addition. So of course, not only will the Gold Edition be coming out with those additional things all tied into one package, but those End of Zoe and Not a Hero DLCs will be available separately.
They also don't have a price yet if you buy them separately. That's not out
Yeah,
yet.
that hasn't been. Actually, Not a Hero is free, but
yeah.
End of Zoe, I imagine it's
I'm assuming it's going to be or free.
5 or 10. No,
free.
usually it's not.
No, make it free.
The banned footage ones were not, but they
Yeah.
said Not a Hero was going to be free from the beginning.
Yeah.
I bet they delayed that from spring, so I'm just excited it's getting a release. So that's going to be on December 12th. And speaking of releases, the Inpatient and Bravo team are getting releases as well. We already talked a little bit about the fact that you can now pre-order the Inpatient, which looks super exciting. And that's going to be, I can't remember the date I said for that. I said it a minute ago. It says on my notes.
November 21st.
November 21st. And then Bravo team.
Which is the one I'm more excited about of those two, because it's not spooky.
That guy is the 6th of December.
That supports, you would think I would remember this because we talk about this all the time, but that supports, I assume that supports the aim.
It does support aim,
okay.
And it is teleport based currently, but from everyone that's played it, they've said that that does not ruin the experience. So,
because that one I'm actually excited about, because that to me is going to be like the true... To me, that's going to be, I don't want to say a real game in VR because that's a dumb way to say it, but it's going to be the first-person shooter. I think Farpoint was a good first-person shooter to start it out with, but that'll be like, you can make a Call of Duty in VR. So Activision's like, hey, there's money here. Let's go make Call of Duty VR.
Yeah, I don't think...
It won't be that big.
I'm in a slightly different boat to you. I think that it will be a good example of what can be done, but without free movement, I still don't think we're close to what everyone wants, which is a Call of Duty or a Battlefield in VR. But I think if they could take books out of Resident Evil 7's page and mix it... I know there's been one guy that's been posting an r/PSVR recently with what looks to be Counter-Strike in VR. It almost looks identical in terms of the...
you just want to live that Counter-Strike dream.
I really do, and I could do it in VR. I couldn't do it in real life, but there you go. Which is really the point of VR. So here's some exciting news for all of you Summer Lessons fans out there. We know you exist. Summer Lessons is getting a 3rd character DLC. Yay! You remember the last one was Allison Snow, who was the blonde chick?
I remember that name.
There you go. So this time we have Chisato Shinjo, and she's described as being, and I quote, a rich girl. So Chisato Shinjo has her own teaser available now, so it's really exciting if you're into that sort of thing.
I'll tease her. Hey-o.
Good lord. So it says, since August 31st is a special date for the Summer Lessons series, Bandai Namco decided to make the announcement today. And Chisato Shinjo, they say that we may have heard about her in Allison Snow's 7 Days, where Uki-san mentioned something about a young lady living in a large mansion. So there you go. It's kind of, there is somewhat of a thread there back to the Allison Snow DLC, if that was your type of thing. And then just a couple noticeables. This is where we run through basically a list of things that have been, announced, or there's been a trailer released or whatever. Wraith is a fantastic new horror game that's coming out. Have you seen anything on this yet?
I honestly avoid everything that's scary because I don't care. Because it's one of those things where I know I'm not going to play it.
Well, it looks really cool. It's definitely one of the more interesting titles to get a trailer recently. And for horror game fans, I think they're kind of slathering at the bit a little bit to get a hold of it. Graphically looks very impressive. Again, just an enjoyable experience. The trailer is available in the description below, and also there'll be a little bit of it behind me. And then also Sociable Shocker. This is like a fucking tongue twister. Yeah, Sociable Soccer by the seashore.
Coming to PlayStation Virtual Reality.
Yeah, exactly. So Sociable... God, that is so hard to say.
Just
I want to say Shocker. Sociable Shocker.
Teaser, pleaser, shocker?
No, let's not do that. So
those of you 18 plus will know what that means.
Is heading to Steam Early Access very soon. The initial PC build of the video game available to purchase prior to the official release will tease players with the core experience, with much more content to follow.
Shocker.
However, at Gamescom 2017, you're so gross, lead designer John Hare revealed intentions to bring the video game to PlayStation 4, including PlayStation VR compatibility. So it's the spiritual successor to the 1990s smash hit Sensible Soccer, which I do remember, a video game that boils down the essence of virtual football, stripping away all the modern flourishes and instead offering an experience that relies on player skill. And basically, it looks like a sort of a God game angled VR game, so it looks like you're going to be kind of above the field playing like a FIFA-style game.
Sociably.
Why not? Yeah. So Sociable Soccer, that's coming to PSVR.
You know what's funny about that is Sasha's not sociable. Soccer's not sociable. Yeah, People get angry with each other all the time. If you're on the wrong team, you might get sad.
If you're on the wrong team. If you're not, it's great.
Did you hear about... You don't watch football, do you?
No.
So I watch a lot of college football starting recently, and speaking about people being on the wrong team and getting mad at each other, there was a FSU, Florida State University, played Alabama, and number 1 versus number 3 in the nation. Some Alabama fan was in a group of FSU people, or it might have been the other way around. One was in a group of another, and decided to start throwing punches in a group of fans from the other team. Don't recommend you do that, because guess what? You're outnumbered 1 to like 40,000.
Yeah.
We went to
a great
USC
place.
UCLA game, and I'm a USC fan, so we're in the red section for USC. My sister was a UCLA fan. She was blue in a sea of red, but she was kind of scared.
There was a documentary or something I was watching recently where they were talking about fans at games, and I thought it was funny because they were talking about like when you go to an actual football game in England, all the fans for one team have one entrance, the fans for the other team have a different entrance, and there are two walls of police separating those two fans.
I've seen that physical barriers.
And,
what was it?
chicken wire fences.
Was it Sheffield? What was the? There's an ESPN 30 for 30 on it.
Yeah, that's I know the one you're thinking of is a Liverpool game, but I can't. remember
I can't
what the
remember.
name of
But
the
if you're
stadium was.
a sports fan, go watch that. That's just a little sidetrack there.
So, Form is another game that I heard a little bit more about. So, enter a surreal adventure where puzzles are built from dreams and memories. Solve the mystery behind an ancient artifact. Advance through a world that transforms around you and transcend this existence.
I'm gonna apologize if this makes real loud noises in your ears, guys. I'm
adjusting your
adjusting my
microphone.
mic.
That's fine. So there's unique puzzles built for tracked motion controllers, beautiful transforming environments you can only experience in VR, play at your own pace, no death or time limits, designed for maximum comfort, and Cortex mode, interactive soundtrack mode as well.
There is no death limit.
Here's some of the things that some folks have had to say about it. It's immersive, engaging, and beautiful, setting a new standard for virtual reality and visual design. That's from Hardcore Gamer, 4 out of 5. Form shows a command of the medium that few have grasped with such clear intention. That's 8.5 out of 10 by Road to VR. And Charm Games has created a mesmerizing experience from start to finish. That's 4 out of 5 from VR Focus. So, I mean, currently this one got a little bit of hype behind it, I would say. I again have not actually had chance to look at a whole lot of information on this game, but it's definitely been on the radar. And there. So there you go.
Cool.
Porn. Chimera
I think you said
VR
porn.
got announced by
There you go, porn. It's like, Thomas, what you said.
Chimera VR got announced by an ex-Sony executive, Shahid Ahmad, for PSVR, and this is based on an old game. When I say old game, I'm talking Spectrum Atari game, Chimera. You may remember it, you may not, but it says, this is the tweet that came out from Shahid Ahmad, is Chimera Zero for PSVR, Oculus Rift, and HTC Vive. Tech demo currently runs on PSVR and Rift. This is not your daddy's Chimera.
Call me daddy.
So there you go. Chimera was kind of
daddy.
like an isometric space shooty thing. It was interesting. I have no idea how they're going to turn this into VR. I think
I was like, that's a ways to go back to make a VR
I mean,
game.
taking an Atari game, but I can only imagine it's going to look something like either Battlezone or Carix, one of those two. But there you go. There's a visual novel coming out. This is for Japan. So visual novel Tier, Awari to Hajimari no Shizuku, coming to PSVR on October 5th in Japan. How do you feel about visual novels in PSVR?
It could work really well.
I think it's good medium.
Yeah, one of the things I've always said multiple times with VR is things outside of gaming have to take off, and having this is my thing of like having movies or something like that. Like, I don't look at a visual novel as a game. I look at it as more like a TV show or movie.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that. As long as it's somewhat decent in length. I don't want like a 5-minute thing and that's it. But visual novels are cool. It'd be really cool in VR.
You know what I would
see
love
what
to
it is.
see is like
Transformers
you know how they have
VR?
motion comics. Like they have like Batman comics, but they're like full motion. Like so,
Sure.
I'd
No.
love to see that in VR.
But
That'd
yeah,
be great.
I agree with what you're saying. I don't know what you're talking about, but I get the idea of what
like
you're
the
saying.
words you say.
Yes.
All right, moving on. Pete Hines. You may remember him from such things as the CEO of Bethesda.
As Bethesda.
Has
No,
definitive.
is he the CEO or is he the PR guy?
I don't know. He's
I
like
think
the head.
I think he's the PR guy.
Geezer. Has no definitive answer for Fallout VR's absence on PSVR, which I thought was interesting. So what it's basically saying is that there was an interview that he did here with, was it Upload VR? Sorry, my page crashed.
Yeah, Upload VR.
We're so fucking amateur hour today. So yeah, Upload VR, he did an interview with them, and basically they brought up the subject, and they were like, you know, hey, what about that whole Fallout on PSVR thing? And he's like, we want to bring it to as many things as possible. And that was like pretty much all he said on
Yeah.
it, which is the same
That's
as they
probably
said in the
that's
tweet.
probably all you can say.
Yeah, so again, it's like more and
You know what this reminds me of? This whole Fallout thing? It reminds me of the Battlefront thing we had a few months ago of like, is it VR? Is it not VR? Is it coming? Is it not coming? We've not got definitive answer whether Battlefront's coming to VR. I don't think it is. They would have announced it by now.
I don't think it's going to have launch VR available. I mean, maybe. They still haven't gone all the way through their
But the
stuff.
packaging
It's
had
getting pretty
compatible
close.
with VR, which is weird because then you have to reprint all the packaging.
Yeah. I mean, and maybe they're just doing it because they know it'll be like very shortly after release. Because Abduction shows up in the PSVR area, despite the fact they haven't.
Well,
had an app looking patch
X-Wing
yet.
2, or the X-Wing VR came out way in the end.
Yeah.
In the
That was almost
Battlefront cycle.
pre-VR almost. that they
They announced it pre-VR. They just couldn't release it pre-VR because you have to have a VR unit to play it.
That makes sense. So Pete Hines again, kind of stoking the fires of whether Fallout's going to be released on PSVR or not. And as you all watching know, we all want it to. We just don't know when it's going to.
I feel like this is a script now. Yeah. We want it to come on every platform. PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. Where do you want? Is it coming to PS4? We want it on every platform we can.
We'll see. I am excited to see if Fallout makes it to PSVR and if PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds makes it to PS4. I think
if players makes it, it'll be a long time from now.
That'll be more exciting because it's actually published by Microsoft.
Well, it won't. It's published by Microsoft on Xbox. Is the phrasing they've been saying.
Oh,
so
that makes sense. Published by Sony on PlayStation.
It's on PlayStation. Yeah, I don't think that'll happen.
Moving on, this is an exciting game, and I want to talk about it because I'm trying really hard to get a key to this game. And so, developers, this is my plea to you. The MetaWorld VR title, which if you've been following the show for a little while, or just following this game for a little while, you will be aware of. It's this kind of like massive social experiment that they're trying. So it's officially launching in early access on all VR platforms, cross-platform, on September 29th, and you can buy land on their website right now. So this is basically like there's a big, large open space, and we're talking like a massive open space, 10,000 square miles or virtual square miles, massively scaled open world. And there's tons of activities to do there as well. So you can do things like, fishing or shopping or whatever. It's essentially a simulation. It's essentially a full-on VR simulation of a society. I'm putting it as close to I can as like PlayStation Home for VR. It's kind of what I'm getting from it. It says here from Engadget, MetaWorld is properly persistent. When you throw a rock or drop a stick, it stays in that exact spot until you or someone else decides to move it. The idea is that the space has its own ecology and history, changing over time as people interact with it, which sounds fascinating.
It sounds real hard to do.
Yeah,
that's the part that'd be interesting to see how technologically you could do that.
Well, that's why they were asking for so much fucking money in their Indiegogo campaign. When you stroll through MetaWorld, a future of simulated living seems imminently plausible, says CNBC. But if you click on the Become a Pioneer section of their website, MetaWorldVR.com, then you get 3 different options for like things that you can buy. So the first is the Pioneer Kit, which is on sale. All of these are on sale right now, which is why I'm sort of bringing them up. Usually $15, is only $10 right now. That gives you early access, a 1/4 acre of land, a survival kit, and a log cabin.
So it's legitimately a second. You get a 1/4 acre of land.
Yep.
This is like Manifest Destiny.
So I wonder, like, what happens when all the land is taken up?
You fight over it, like the U.S. has. You steal other people's land. What you do? No. Well, so United States, we used to only go to the Mississippi.
Right.
And then we said, you know what, Mexico and Indians, we want your land because we ran out of land over here.
America.
More like we just want your land because it's our apparently from Manifest Destiny to get all the land. And that's why Texas used to be the Texas Annex. Texas used to be part of Mexico.
Manifest virtual destiny.
We got Texas from Mexico, which is funny now because we're building a wall to keep Texas and Mexico separately.
All right. Next up is Elite Pioneer. That's $30 down from $50, and that is early access to the game. A vehicle, a modern villa, 1 acre of land, and a custom interior, which sounds like a little bit better, but it is also $20 more. Yeah. And then, of course,
the big
vendor. Usually $100. This is $70. Early access to the game. Event tools, a world creator, venue space, a world builder, 2 acres of land, and vendor tools. So, yeah.
You sell stuff for real money is what it sounds like?
I don't know if it's real money or world, like...
I wonder if it's like in-game money that you can then change. I don't know how you would process it to real money, though.
It's really exciting, and I really want to be a part of this. So please, MetaWorld VR devs, if you're listening, let us in. We want to check it out. We want to see how cool it is. We'd love to talk about it. But I'm currently, at least, talking to one of the developers about getting more on this. But yeah, I mean, it's a super interesting idea. Whether it works or not, who knows? But it's definitely worth the experiment, I think.
Sounds it. So you know how much I hate horror games. But you know how much I love, and I've been saying I love sim games. Like I grew up playing sim games, so like that to me is a game that I'm excited about, but it terrifies me
might lose you
because I might get lost. I might get lost
if Keegan never gets.
You know what's gonna happen is I'm gonna come over and I'm just gonna put it on, and you're gonna be doing the show, and I'll be like, "Yep, hey Tom, I'm in my little world," or whatever it may be.
What's going on right now? I don't know. Digging holes.
I'm digging holes. I'm stealing my neighbor's plot of land because I want Manifest Destiny.
So this is also cross-platform, which I thought was exciting. So that means that, much like Werewolves Within, you can hang
have a
out
bigger
with
fan
Rift
base.
owners and Vive owners too, and you can all be big friends together.
Or
September
enemies and
29th.
steal each other's land.
September 29th. That's
I don't know if
when
you can
that
actually
thing
steal
is
each
coming
other's
out,
land.
and it's September, man. So that's not too far away. But apparently they've been
4
working
weeks.
on this project for a really long time. So
Yes.
it's exciting. So Meta World VR, and then lastly, this is kind of one of my, I didn't really have like a big piece to end on, but I just thought this was a really interesting fact. Penn State University recently did a study that basically
That's
turned
Pennsylvania
out-
State for those of you who are not from the U.S.
and that is saying that 80% of Asian people get motion sickness in VR. And then the question sort of around that debate was, is Sony limiting stock of PSVR in places in Asia because of this? Because a lot of people are getting sick of it.
This will the big in Asia argument is now gone, Tom.
Big in Japan.
You can't say it's big in Japan if they get sick off of it.
PSVR can't be big in Japan, but I thought it was an interesting, and this is actually, like I said, this is done a real university test. They obviously had a lot of people that went through the test, and it said results showed that 80% of Asians experience motion sickness, while less than 50% of African Americans and or Caucasian Americans were affected.
What do they do? Just take them in and just like, we're gonna put you in the most fucked up game we can. Go!
Yeah, I don't know.
I'd love to see if like what the level of whatever they played was, because as we've learned, it's based on game.
I think it must have been a
experience.
movement-based game, but here's
Yeah.
some more. An additional study was conducted by Krishna Sharma from Punjab University in Chandigarh, India. Sharma and his team of researchers tested 200 twin pairs from India. They found that if one identical twin experienced motion sickness, the other twin was 100% likely to be similarly affected. So that's a side
how
note
twins
there,
work.
which I thought was interesting. Follow-up study, using the data from Sharma's study, they found out that if both parents were susceptible to motion sickness, their children were 5 times more likely to also have motion sickness.
So it's my mom's fault.
I mean, it could be.
I don't think my dad gets motion
What a
sickness.
great test this is.
You know what's really interesting? This is a fun fact about my family. So my sister's older than I am by 3 years, and whenever she'd fly an airplane, she'd get sick. She gets air sickness or whatever, like motion sickness, I guess. I don't know if it's technically the same thing. So growing up, they always just gave me Dramamine because they're like, we don't want you to get sick. Because Kelsey always got like Kelsey was bad. Kelsey can go on rides though, like she'd do like Tilt-A-Whirl and the Scrambler and all that, and be fine. I'm the opposite. You put me on a Tilt-A-Whirl, you put me on a Gravitron, you put me on anything like the teacups, I will puke my guts out within 5 minutes of being on that ride. Put me on an airplane, I'm perfectly fine, and I just fall asleep.
I'm kind of half.
So I don't know.
I can only go on the spinny teacuppy things if I'm going to do some kind of like high octane spinning, but I can't do roller coasters.
just make
But I
me
can do
think-
planes just fine. 'cause
Yeah,
they don't.
I can do roller coasters. The only roller coaster thing I can't do corkscrews in roller coasters. That one makes it go whoop, which is weird because it's like, again, it's one of those things where, what's the difference? I guess it's just how your body feels the inertia.
I guess. I
I would love to know.
but this
Penn
is
State, do a study on that. I would love to know the details of how they tested this.
Yeah. Yeah,
Would be
sure.
interesting. I'm sure it's in there somewhere
I mean,
if
the
I
link's
looked.
in the description below if you want to read the actual statement put out. But it was PSU EDU were the ones that posted this little gem, and it's interesting. So it's basically proving that there is a genetic link or a genetic connection to your genetics. And
And I think as I've gotten older,
your motion
I've
sickness.
gotten worse.
Think so?
Yeah, because when I was a kid, I could teacup. Now as I've gotten older, I mean, I couldn't a lot.
We will
But now I
ride the
can't.
teacups
Now I
one
can't.
day,
No,
my
we're not.
friend.
I will puke on you. Nope.
I'll be
That is a promise.
So that's your news roundup for this week, ending on a very interesting study there. Let us know how you think about that. And honestly, if we have many Asian viewers and stuff, let us know. Like, does the sickness hit you? Do you feel like...
Do you get down with the sickness? Ooh, ah!
Or that.
up, come on, get
but
down
let
with
us
the
know, like, is it
sickness.
something that you have a lot of trouble with the locomotion in VR or not? And let's see if that's actually just bullshit or if it's a real scientific test.
I wish I could be the singer from Disturbed and do the ooh, ah, like he does because it's so cool. He does it beautifully.
I don't know if it's cool, per se.
He does it really well because he did it.
Okay.
Like I can't mimic it. That's what I'm saying.
That's true.
Anyways,
More practice.
Yes.
Next week, maybe. So let's talk about a spotlight for the week, which is a game we both played, therefore we can both discuss.
The Lost
And,
Bird.
We also have some footage, too. It's going to be right behind us right now, and that is The Lost Bear.
Yes.
No, it's nothing to do with those types of bears
Yes.
at all before you get filthy. So let's talk about it. You were the one that played it first, so let's
Yep.
hear your thoughts. You put your notes in here.
I
so go ahead.
did. The Lost Bear. So first thing I noticed is it was not a traditional VR game. I was sitting in what felt like. Have you ever been to Disneyland?
No.
Damn it. Have you ever been to Disney World?
No.
Have you ever been to a thing that has animatronics in front of you?
I've been to like a pizza parlor or something that had that band.
Kind of counts. So I felt like the reason I asked that is Disney World has the Country Bear Jamboree. I don't think it's there anymore. But that's what it felt like. I was in an environment where the things around me changed based on what was going on in the scene. I'm watching a stage play is what it felt like. And then it would be like, at the beginning was like woods, and then you get down to the garbage area, and it's garbage stacked up, and I would had fun looking around. And it's not, you're not moving it, you're watching and controlling the character you're moving. At first, my brain, when I first started, I got a little woozy because it's like, ooh, because I didn't expect it, and what got me was the camera. Like, the walking was fine. It's when the camera would zoom in and out, and I wasn't ready for it. But eventually, it was not an issue. But the first 2 times it happened, I didn't
experience that.
I had a couple times where I was like, okay, like it wasn't to the point where I wanted to stop playing. It was just enough that I noticed it.
Gotcha.
It's about 1 to 2 hours. $13 is the cost of this game. The controls are a bit weird.
How would you say?
So
that it combines the real world and the virtual world? Well, the real game and the virtual world.
Well, that I liked. The control scheme is weird because some of it's button-based, some of it's motion-based. And I did not like the motion controls in the game when it came to aiming my slingshot. Fun fact, when I played, it took me... I didn't realize I had to use them. I had to pause and look at the controller screen to be like, how do I move? And it's like, oh, it's motion controls. I was like, that makes so much more sense now, because I tried to use the right stick.
I was using my head for a while, and I realized nothing was moving.
Yeah.
And then I picked up the controller. I was like, oh, here you go.
Because at first I was like, why is the controller floating in front of me? But I tried to use the right stick, so I wish there was the option to do either or.
Yeah.
Because the motion controls to aim, especially there's a couple of sequence of events that had to be relatively quick. Like there's platforms that would fall and you die if you didn't get off of it in time. And that was I think my complaint was I couldn't be as accurate as quickly as I wanted to do what I wanted to do. That being said, I really loved, and I told somebody last night, you ever have a game that does something and you wish it did more of it because it did that thing really well? The way this works is you'd have like puzzles. So I think was the first one like a cart. I know I went across on a cart thing. There's another one. No, it was an elevator.
Yes,
the elevator was the first one.
Well, no, you had to move something left or right. I think the elevator was the second one.
Yeah,
it was a puzzle that involved you having to utilize your actual virtual armchair.
Yeah. So what happened? So what happened is literally the 2 sticks would come up in front of you, or the stick would come up in front of you. It looks like a steering wheel essentially. You put your controller in, and then it took me a second to realize that I tried to turn it and nothing happened. You have to hold
L2 and R2.
Yeah, I was like, wait a second. And then once that happened, you're like, okay, this makes sense. I really, really like that because that's where VR came in. Before that, I felt like the VR was kind of just a gimmick of like, again, I'm in a theater. This is kind of cool.
Did you not enjoy the moments where things from the on-screen would enter your world, like the bees and things like that?
Yes and no. I'm
surprising.
It's a personal space thing.
Really?
When the bug landed right here.
Did it scare you?
Well, I knew it, and I was like, hi. But when the bug was down here, I was like, oh, that's cool, but it wasn't necessary.
I thought it was cute.
It enhanced it, but it didn't add anything to the game.
So to explain what we're talking about here, there's a moment in the game, and
uh-oh, he's dying.
Sorry, spoilers. If you want to experience everything by yourself, but there is a moment in the game where the character just kind of sits on a ledge and looks at you, and is kind of gesturing in your direction. You're just like, okay, like what am I supposed to do next? And you can't control him, her, whatever it is. And then you notice or you hear this buzzing noise close to you.
You need to look around.
And you're looking around in your virtual environment, and you see this little kind of like firefly looking thing that's just kind of zipping around you, and you're kind of wondering, is this like, am I supposed to be paying attention to this, or am I supposed to be paying attention to the screen? Is there something I'm supposed to be pressing? And it was a little confusing in that aspect because you're basically frozen just trying to figure out whether you're supposed to do anything or not. And then eventually this bug lands on your chair and you're like, oh yeah, I'm assuming this is part of the experience here. And then eventually the bug gets up and it goes through this pipe and then it ends up in the game world, which I thought was super cute and charming. And I really enjoyed it. So I thought it added a beautiful element. And the bees being all around you and stuff, it was just, I don't know.
It added to it, and it was a nice thing they did because the game was in VR, but I feel like that was something that wasn't necessary for VR. Like, I feel like they added it because...
But, I mean, why would you specifically choose VR for your platform for what is essentially a 2D platforming game if you weren't going to utilize things like that?
That's what I'm saying. I feel like there wasn't enough stuff in VR that made it.
There could have been more.
Yeah,
there could have been more.
The stuff that happened, like I said, the controls was probably my favorite thing when those controls popped up for the first time. First, I was like, "What is happening?"
And they have a couple different variations on that later.
I like the 2 slidey things. But yeah, it was, don't get me wrong, I like that they did it, but it felt like they did it because they had to add more stuff for VR purposes. It's kind of how I felt with it.
It would, I mean, would you play it if it was not VR?
Probably.
Yeah.
I feel like the stuff in VR didn't add to it other than the controls.
I think it did. I think it added to the charm.
It did, but
And the
again,
controls,
I don't.
obviously, but,
I don't
like,
think it.
You could do those motion controls without actually having to see like a virtual steering wheel in front of you.
Yeah. Like I said, aiming the slingshot for me took a second. Why motion controls? Like, I wish it was right stick. I would have been fine with that.
I was okay with it.
Once I got the hang of it, I was fine. The story is a bit eerie.
Eerie?
Yeah, it's about a little kid who gets his teddy bear taken, and then
It's like a crab or something runs off with it.
Yeah, a little mechanical thing, and then the bear shows up, and then you go. Spoiler? You get to the
tree,
the arm thing, the thing that the sewer that reached out. Yeah. So the sewer reached out, and I was like, ooh, there's something else here. Because at first it's like, what is going on?
I wouldn't say it was like.
It's got an
not a horror game.
No, but it's got an eerie feel to
But
it.
definitely
It's the
has a vibe.
It's the more of what's going on versus I'm scared.
Yeah, it was a more little limbo-y type scary.
It was dark.
than,
It was dark versus scary.
Yeah,
is what I would say
like
for
a
it.
grim fairy tale.
There's a bear spirit that kind of follows around and helps you solve some puzzles. The first one is you have to push down a tree, and he helps out with that. The robot dogs, mechanical spiders. It's some sort of corrupted world, as we just talked about.
Yeah.
The dogs were kind of
charm
cute,
to it.
but then I was like, I got the trophy for killing one. I felt bad, but I didn't care because it's a robot.
Yeah. They were. You know what? They don't mess around with the death scenes either, do they? Like you would get chomped or it's.
I didn't die by something other than a fall.
I got eaten by a dog a few times.
Yeah, I never died
I tried
by
to
any
shoot the
by
dog,
environment.
which was the wrong answer to that puzzle.
Run away is usually my answer.
Run away was the right answer.
Run away is my answer.
I was like, I'm gonna try and aim at this fucker and take him out midway. Didn't work.
So my final notes here: decent puzzle platform with good ambiance, but I don't know if VR was necessary. It enhances the feel, having the environment change around you, the bug flying past, etc. is cool. I just felt like it just wasn't. I felt like I was looking at just a giant TV, and overall was not used enough.
Yeah.
Overall, I think the price. Overall, I think it's worth picking up for what is there. $12.99 seems a bit steep to me. I wish it would have been like $8-ish. Was my feeling. Maybe wait for a sale was my feeling on it. It was good what was there. It was short, and I feel like the VR premium was not there. Granted, we didn't pay for it, but at the same time, I don't think it's worth $12.
I think I paid for it. I can't remember.
No, we got you a key.
Oh yeah, you did.
We got you a key.
But no, I think honestly, I enjoyed it more than you did by the science of it, because you remember that I want to say it was like a Hong Kong experience that I put up where you're sat in the cinema with a little anime girl and you're watching like crazy stuff. That was the vibe that I got off of it, in terms of like you feel like you're like in a one-man theater and like literally with like curtains and everything.
Yeah, the curtains thing was cool. Did you ever pause the game?
No.
The curtains close when you pause the game.
Oh, that's cool.
I like that. I did like the little touches like that were cool.
Yeah, but like as you're sort of looking around the room that you're in, and you know the fact that they do like have moments of interaction with you in the space that you're in, and I would assume or hope that there's a little bit more of that later on, but I haven't gotten far enough to know for sure.
Yeah, that was I think that was the big thing for me, is there wasn't, from what I played, and I played for probably about 45 minutes to an hour. This game's only about an hour, maybe an hour, 2 hours is what I've been reading online. There just wasn't enough to justify the VR aspect of it.
But I thought the actual game part itself, like the puzzle platform part of it, was worthy of being $13 without the VR. Like, it was a fun little game. It's not very, admittedly, time is the only thing that I think goes against it, is the fact that it's not very long. If it was like 3 or 4 hours, definitely.
Easily.
I think you could have gotten away with even more money-wise. I don't think $13 is too much. I think it's just about right. Because of the extra elements that you get out of the VR experience. And it was such a beautiful art style. There was no real, like, they didn't really have a language, did they? They had like a Sims language where it was just like, blah, 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 when they were talking to each other. Maybe some voice acting would have helped, like, or like a narrator. Since it's a theater, you almost want someone to say, you know, like a John Cleese type,
coming in
telling
and saying,
you about what's going on.
Yeah.
They do definitely leave a lot of stuff for you to figure out by yourself, which is easily enough to take care of. There was a lot of instances, like you said, where like you would put your controller into the steering wheel, and then I would be doing this, and I'd realize, oh shit, I have to hold these buttons before I can do it.
And in its defense, it does put it up there.
It does, but you're not like paying attention because you're looking down at the steering wheel.
So I mean, it's a good experience. I had fun playing it. I think length, like you said, to me is kind of what knocks the price down. And I in my head, and this is probably just because of it is VR only. The fact that it is VR only, it didn't get the VR treatment it should have, and that's where I kind of knocked the price down a little bit. They could have done more with what they did. I really, like I said, the controls, really like that. And even if it was just like a whole like control panel that came up or something at some point. Like I really, really like that mechanic, and I hope somebody runs with it, or I hope Fabric Games, who made this game, runs with that and does something with it, because I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Like that aspect of it. It reminded me of similar to Wayward Sky, not quite, because Wayward Sky is more point and click, but you did have those puzzles where you're hands on that way, and that because the weird thing to me is which is funny because I talked about it the other day on Last Day of June. It was just like a movie, but it felt more like I was watching a movie, and it wasn't really I wasn't part of the experience until those moments happened.
I quite liked the puzzles, though.
The puzzles were great. I agree. Done. And it would have been, it would have been fun non-VR. The fact that I had to play it in VR, again, in my head, it's like, okay, it's a VR game. Somebody's going to buy the headset, and I feel like there's a VR premium that's put to this because it's a VR game. Yeah. But I don't know. Part of me is...
I think if you would buy that game base flat for $10, then the $3 added for VR would make it worth it. But, like you said, length is the only other thing which I think that drags it down. But the experience, for me anyway...
And the motion controls. The motion controls were the other thing that
I think we both enjoyed it, it's fair to say. We're just not entirely sure if it's necessarily something that you should go out and grab right away. It's definitely, like, if your buddy has it, like, maybe try it there and see if you like the idea of it, because it's very different.
It's yes.
Almost everything out there on the market for VR.
I think... Hold on, I gotta find the thing I posted on Facebook the other day, because it was really it's my exact thoughts. I posted this right after I finished playing it.
So while you're finding it, like I just played it this morning actually.
Yeah. Here we go. So as a huge VR fan, I love when devs try something new, but I wish they would go one step further with some things. Just played this game. That when the VR was used right, it was awesome, but that was too frequent to be a VR-only title, which is pretty much just sums up how I feel. So I feel like I didn't get my money's worth for the VR side of it, which is why I'm docking the price on it. I think it's a great game. Don't get me wrong. I love the puzzle aspects. The puzzles were great. Motion controls are a bit wonky. That's the other place where I kind of knock it. But other than that, like the game itself, enjoyed. Puzzles were fine. They weren't too difficult, but they made you think. I did like when the environment came up, but again, I guess I'm putting a VR tax on in my head that it's like I paid for a VR game. This didn't feel like...
Could have been utilized.
Yes. Yeah.
Fair enough. So that's The Lost Bear, now available. It was released on Tuesday, if you're watching this. And I personally think it's worth a dip. Keegan's kind of like, yeah, it's worth a dip, but maybe you'll be disappointed by the lack of VR. Yeah. So maybe wait for a sale. So
if it's a flat game, it's like you said, if people could buy this without the VR portion of it, I would be all over it, because I think the VR hindered it enough from what could have been. And that's a bad way to judge a game, but that's how I'm judging this game. Is it gave me hope because it did something really cool, but it did not do it what I wanted it to do.
I'm happy that developers are at least trying.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I'm a huge fan of that. Like the post said, if somebody tries something new, I'm all for it. Yeah. I just kind of wish they had either done more of the same thing or done a little bit more with that mechanic.
So with that being said, that's your spotlight for the week. And next is our question. And this is one that I want all of you to get involved in the comments section. We love it when you drop in your thoughts. So please, if any, I've been trying to do some that I think are a bit more fun recently and less, arguey. So this one is
I'm going to yell at you because your idea is going to be wrong.
I'm sure. But my question for this week was, after experiencing like the theater-like nature of The Lost Bear and, getting more and more into the idea of watching like stuff in VR in general, like as far as TV shows and movies and things like that, if they could remake or build any movie or TV show in 100% perfect VR and put you inside it in a complete no-screen door, full-on realism effect, what would it be and why? So what I'm thinking here, let me give you the premise, is like, let's pretend that VR is perfect. Let's pretend that there's no screen door and that when you put the thing on, you actually feel like you're transported into another version of the same world. And then you could be a part of a movie. Now, it wouldn't necessarily be like controlling it. It is just you watching a movie, but just from inside the movie. And you
maybe jump around to different people's heads or whatever it may be.
Yeah, you could be looking through one character's eyes or whatever it might be, like however you want to
choose your character.
And that could be part of the idea here, is like, is there multiple perspectives you'd like to enjoy? What would it be? So have you had time to think on this one?
Yeah, I have two.
Okay.
My initial gut reaction, as you know, because I love animation, would be Inside from Pixar. Or Inside Out from Pixar. The reason being is that movie is set up perfectly for that, because it is a colorful 3D, fully fledged world that has a lot of crazy characters. It'd be a lot of fun to be in that world.
So where would you be if you were in that world? Like in terms
You'd
of
be able
like...
to jump through the different emotions.
Okay.
So you'd get it from sadness's perspective, joy's perspective, anger's perspective.
And they could even play around with the stylization of the background and that as well. Like,
yeah.
You know, when you're in sadness, everything's kind of blue.
Yeah. So that was my gut reaction.
I would want to be in Bing Bong.
That's true. Bing bong. That's a weird sentence to say. The other one I want to do, and it's partially because I'm a huge fan of the series, is the Harry Potter series. Like, to me, that would be an awesome thing to do because I love that franchise. They're the reason I got into video editing. Good old Chris Columbus, for those of you who don't know, made the first 2 films. Love Chris Columbus. Yeah, and he made a Batman movie?
King of the Teen
I think he made a Batman movie as well.
Yeah.
I could be wrong on that.
It was a bad one if he did.
Yeah, it wasn't a well-received one. But Chris Columbus, I'm a big fan of him, and the Harry Potter universe to me seems perfect for that because there's so many stories of like, it would have to be like, it's weird because I wouldn't want the movie as it is. Like, I guess I'm going to give a spoiler warning if you haven't seen Harry Potter or read it by now, but Snape turns out to be good. And I would love to have a Snape experience.
He doesn't turn out to be good, Keegan. He was always good in his heart.
I know, but I would love to have a Snape experience now knowing what I know about him, of how his internal conflict of what to tell Harry and what not to tell Harry and how to protect him.
To view the Harry Potter movie through the eyes of Snape.
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome. Or Dumbledore. Dumbledore would be another one. Like, because Harry, we see it. It's obviously not through Harry's perspective, but we know what Harry knows. So you're not seeing it through his eyes, but you're around his friends. Hermione and Ron are the main characters. But I'd love to see it through another main tertiary character or secondary character to kind of see what they think in it. It's like even Malfoy would be good, but not Draco. Lucius. But even that, I don't think it'd be good. I think Snape, Dumbledore would be the 2 that make the most sense. Dobby could be a fun one to do, even if this is like a collection of experiences of like important times in the movies.
But I mean, that's the good part about something like Harry Potter is the fantastical nature of it.
Yes.
So you have the ability to actually see magic and to see the magical creatures, and that's it might almost be more interesting to do Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them and just live in. Have you seen that? I assume?
Oh yeah.
You know the little bag thing that you can go into and live in. Like if you could go to visit that world.
That one was weird because I was like, I'm such a big Harry Potter fan that I'm like, am I gonna like this movie?
It was good.
Because it was I loved it. Yeah. I can't wait for the second one. But no, because my other thought was like a TV sitcom. Like I'm a Big Bang Theory fan, but that is boring because you're in a real world. So why would I watch Why would I watch somebody?
But you'd get to hang out with people that were funny. Well, I mean, debatably. Funny.
Yeah, but I'd rather go to some crazy. If I'm gonna do it in VR, I'm gonna go to some crazy fantastical world like Harry Potter, like Inside Out, something like that I wouldn't normally experience. So I would say Inside Out was my gut feeling, but Harry Potter, I think, would be the one I'd enjoy more, especially if you do it from Snape's or Dumbledore's perspective, especially at near the last few bits of it. It'd be cool to do like the Dumbledore bits from all the movies tied together in one movie. So when he drops Harry off of like what's he thinking when because I can't remember the line he says, but like we'll see him again or something like that because obviously he knows what's going to happen. And so when he dies, like how.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. to when he talks to Harry in King's Row, like I would love to see that as a movie, as a cohesive thing. Same thing with Snape from when Lily dies to
spoilers.
Well, that's not really a spoiler. That's right at the beginning. To when he
whenever you
kind of
say
admits.
a name and then dies, it's a spoiler.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
anyway.
they tell it right at the beginning. That's literally like the first 20 minutes of the movie, if not less than that.
I think it's a great idea, though. I like the idea of following a different narrative to the main story. I like the idea of utilizing the visual effects fully in VR. And remember, we're talking like no screen door, like near perfect graphics.
Could you imagine watching a Quidditch match in VR? That would be awesome.
Imagine being like actually one of the players.
No, I wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah.
I'd want to watch it because being the one to play, one of the players make you sick. But also, I wouldn't know what's going on as much as versus like seeing it, because I've always wanted to, like, nerd people out there. Have you ever seen the Quidditch people? Like in college campus, they have Quidditch teams, like Quidditch cups. So there's people that basically play soccer with broomsticks between their legs, is what it is.
Okay.
Because do you know the rules of Quidditch?
Oh, and I've seen it in the movies.
So you got the quaffle, you got through the rings,
whatever.
you got the keeper that's got to block it, and then if you get the snitch, you pretty much win the game.
Yeah.
People do that. That's a thing. That's the thing people done in real life, Tom.
That doesn't surprise me.
I don't know if I'd want to do that just because of the fast pace of it, but watching it would remind me of like the Quidditch World Cup would be really cool to go see. So things like that.
There you go.
Extra things. Maybe not main line things, but extra things around it.
I too have two things that I would choose.
Oh, look, we didn't even plan
movie-wise.
that.
And they are.
There's one animation.
No.
Oh.
I did debate that, of course, because
makes-
that would be a wonderful world to be a part of. I did debate things like
Winnie the
half
Pooh.
animations.
You
like,
debated Winnie the Pooh, didn't you? You were like, I want to be in Winnie the Pooh.
I did not. I thought about Who Framed Roger Rabbit for a second because I thought
That'd be weird to see a
cool,
cartoon
right?
in real life.
Yeah, exactly. Like because they could pull it off really well in,
Yeah.
in VR. But what I chose ultimately, though,
That one would stay to the original plot. Like that, I feel like that's the one you'd follow the original plot of.
Yeah. The first of which is a movie that was on the top spot of my favorite movies of all time for a really long time until I finally decided that I just like Jaws and Aliens better. So now it's at number 3 in my top 10 movies of all time list. But it's a movie that I watched so many times as a kid, which sounds weird when you know what the movie is. But it's something that we used to watch together, me and my friends all the time.
Titanic.
No, never seen that. But
What?
I know.
That's the first movie I watched that had a bad word in it. Yeah, Jack said the word bastard a lot.
Okay. Bastard is not necessarily a bad word. It actually
It was in
means
my house.
something. Yeah, fair enough.
Thanks, Andy.
But no, the movie is Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, which I'm assuming you have not seen.
Never heard of.
Okay, so let me fill you in. So Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is sort of adapted from a book by a famous writer called Hunter S. Thompson. Have you ever heard of him?
Nope.
Okay.
I've heard of Hunter and I've heard of Thompson.
All right. So Hunter S. Thompson started out as kind of a political sort of journalist, but then he did other things. He was working for Rolling Stone, and he invented a form of journalism that is still around today that is known as gonzo journalism. Not the Sesame Street character, or Muppets or whatever. But yeah, it's called gonzo journalism.
I forgot about Gonzo.
Yeah.
Sesame Street would be cool,
That would be fun,
and
yeah.
Muppets would be cool in VR.
But gonzo journalism was basically take a lot of drugs, go to a place, and write about it. It was fucking great. So he was. There's this famous story of when he went to Las Vegas and just had literally a carload of drugs. Like
So it's like The Hangover with drugs.
A little bit, but more crazy.
Yeah, because you're doing drugs.
So
and
he
not
goes with his lawyer,
blacking
who is like this giant Samoan dude that equally enjoys drugs as much. And they have this suitcase full of, like, you're talking like uppers, downers, LCD, like, you know, and they really
ESD,
crazy shit.
OLEDs.
They even have something that they called adrenochrome, I think it was called, which is basically like a direct injection of adrenaline from a human body. Like, it was just like, you know, just the craziest drugs you can imagine.
They do that when your heart stops. That's what Nikki Sixx got when his heart stopped.
And they actually, it's one of my first EPs was named Adrenochrome. So there you go. But yeah, so they go to Las Vegas and they're going to cover a desert motocross like event, but of course they get sidetracked because it's fucking Vegas and they're high as balls. So then it's just like the Dr. Gonzo, I think they call him, and Hunter's character that are going through Las Vegas absolutely off their tits in all these kind of crazy scenarios that are going on. But the beautiful part about how the movie works is that it shows you drugs from a viewpoint of actually trying to show you what that person would be seeing. So, you know, when they're talking to like a bellhop or whatever, like their face will distort all weird and the carpet will move like snakes and like, you know, it's so well.
So I can't do drugs.
done.
If things move like snakes, I'm done.
Well, I mean, that's like LSD. But
I know, but I'm saying if things move like snakes, I'd be done.
Fair.
You would see a freak out of me.
I can picture that. But it's the thing that I like about the movie was, of course, the fact that they portrayed drugs in a way that wasn't just like a joke. Because every other thing that they ever portray, someone getting stoned or whatever, and it's just like, you know, everything's a little hazy and a little slow, and it's like that's not what it's like at all.
Without a paddle when they're in the field burning.
Right, and just even things like Friday, like when someone's stoned in the movie Friday, that's not what it's like to be stoned, unless California has a whole other level of weed that I've never seen or experienced. But it's just like they're just like everything's in slow motion and woozy. I'm like, no, that's not what it's like. So so the fact that they showcased these things like LSD, especially because obviously that's a really mind trippy situation, the way that they did was kind of awesome. And yeah, so basically,
You want to do drugs in VR?
yes.
Okay, cool.
I want to be experiencing an acid trip in Vegas in VR, and just doing the craziest shit possible, which is what that entire movie is, just craziness after craziness with awesome narrative.
That made me think of a really terrifying scene for VR. Maybe the whole movie could be too. But do you ever watch the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory? You know the tunnel scene on the boat? That would be fucking
That
terrifying.
would be pretty terrifying. In fact, they could do the whole of Willy Wonka.
I was gonna say,
That would be an
in general, that'd be a good
interesting
one. Yeah, I'd love to. I mean,
float up in the air when you take
it's Gene Wilder, everybody.
Snosberries
Well, the question is, would you do it for first person, or would you still just be watching the movie and you're just
would
in
want
it?
first
Like, would you be a?
I want to be in there.
Well, the question is, would you be a person, or would you just be a free roaming camera that you can move around in? Is what I'm saying.
I would like to be in there.
So you want to be a character in the movie?
Yes.
Do you want people to talk to you?
Sure, why not?
Okay, cool. I was just clarifying, making sure.
Yeah, but it's kind of like so
that'd be really hard to do.
That was one that I thought would be interesting. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas because of the drug effects that you would not normally be able to experience unless you took that many drugs. And secondarily, is a movie that is basically made for VR, and they've just never actually. I mean, I think honestly, if you just watch this movie with a VR headset on, you would feel like you were in VR anyway. And that's a movie called Hardcore Henry.
It's a porn.
It's not a porn, I promise you. But Hardcore Henry is basically the world's first, like, 100% FPS, okay, they do shoot, movie. So it's all filmed directly through Henry's eyes.
It technically be
is-
FPP, first person perspective, would be technically what your phrase is. FPP.
I don't fucking know.
First person.
So the whole movie is filmed through Henry's eyes, and it is done like exactly like a video. You are literally watching a video game in real life at that point. So to do something like that in VR, I think would be really awesome. Being able to like control, like you'd still like have to like follow the movements of the main character, but like being able to see yourself fighting and shooting and like explosions and just it's the ultimate action movie, and it's already kind of designed for first person.
What was that game we played? The full motion video game that we played where you're in some sort of hospital or something. I can't remember what it's called, but
The Bunker.
yeah, that one would be good in VR. Like that'd be a good VR experience. I'm thinking things like that would be good.
So yeah, I mean, I would think being able, I mean, the whole point of VR, right, is to experience things that you wouldn't be able to experience in real
That's
life.
That's why I said like something like Friends would be cool, but it would not. If on a list of things I'd want to do, it'd be further down the list than Harry Potter or.
I couldn't really
Inside
think
Out.
of a TV show necessarily that I would enjoy.
I initially thought Family Guy just because I love the Family Guy series, but it wouldn't add anything to it. That's like
maybe
what
Twin
what am I
Peaks. Maybe I'd enjoy Twin Peaks.
Dude, Gravity Falls. If I was to do a TV show, it'd be Gravity Falls because that thing is so fucked up and it's so good.
I still haven't seen that.
Dude, I feel like you would enjoy that. I know I talk a lot about cartoons, but I feel like you actually would enjoy that one. That one's a good series.
I have it. I'll try.
Yeah, you should watch it.
But Twin Peaks, I think
Don't just
would
have it,
probably be
watch
one,
it.
just because that would be really intense. But yeah, so Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas and Hardcore Henry from me, and Harry Potter and
Inside Out.
Inside Out from you. What about you guys? What would you like to do or experience in movie land or TV land in full VR if there was no limitations and you actually...
Spider-Man would be cool too.
I don't know about that. Man, my guts would just go.
That's what I'm saying. I'd get sick, but it'd be fun.
Yeah, if it was like hyper realism, like we're talking like 1-to-1 realism, then jumping off a fucking building would not sit well with me.
So fun.
I could
That'd
do
be
it if I
terrifying.
knew it was a video game, but I wouldn't be able to do it otherwise. So what did you think? What would you like to see made into a movie in pure VR that you could join once we reach the singularity and we become robots and everything's perfect?
I'm waiting for the day that movies and video games kind of merge. At some point, if VR takes off, put this on your list of Keegan's predictions that keeps getting longer and longer. If VR takes off, it's going to get to the point where interactive movies are going to be a thing. I mean, they already exist, but I just think it's going to become more and more a thing if VR does take off the way we think it will.
We're getting there. Headsets are getting cheaper, guys. Pick it up. If you're just watching this podcast and you're like, why the fuck are they talking about VR? What's that business about? First of all,
why are you still here
if you do? It's been an hour. But otherwise, get one, because honestly, every single person that picks up a VR headset has a wow experience the first time they try it. It may not be for everyone as far as the motion sickness is concerned, but that is something you can overcome.
Especially if you're Asian. We learned.
Yeah, apparently if you're Asian, then you might have to chew a lot of
Try it
ginger while
first.
you're playing your games. Ginger is an anti-nausea thing that a lot of people use for anti-nausea.
Not a girl named Ginger.
In case you were wondering.
Don't chew on Ginger, or a cat named Ginger.
Whatever your thing is. But yeah, so thanks a lot. We're sidetracking.
I'm judging you right now.
That's fine. So that was Codename Morpheus number 8, or Infinity if you put it on its side, and we are going to keep going for Infinity, and we need you to support us. So comment below and like it and say hi. My name is Tom. This is Keegan. In case I didn't say that at the beginning, which I don't believe that I did.
You sound like a whore right now.
Like a whore.
We're whoring ourselves out.
I'm a whore.
Like, comment, subscribe.
I'm a shameless whore.
That's what Rhett and Link say. You know what to do.
Time it is.
Or no, yeah, you know what time it is.
But thank you so much, sincerely, to everybody, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks a lot for listening and or watching, guys, and as always,
Welcome to the second level.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
It ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level.